A Chinese presidential envoy is in Pyongyang, and many are speculating North Korea's nuclear and missile programs will be on the agenda.
U.S. President Donald Trump is expressing hope that China will use its influence on North Korea. The visit comes just days after the president's Asia tour, where he made North Korea one of his top priorities. The head of the Chinese Communist Party's international department, Song Tao, has arrived in Pyongyang. Trump took to Twitter on Thursday, describing the envoy's visit as a big move. The U.S. president has repeatedly asked for China's cooperation to intensify pressure on North Korea. The outcome of the trip may influence a key decision Trump is about to make, whether to name North Korea a state sponsor of terrorism.
I believe the president will be making an announcement and decision on that at the first part of next week. We'll keep you posted on those details.
The North was previously listed, but was removed by George W. Bush in 2008 after an agreement on nuclear inspections. Trump has come under increasing pressure from Congress to put the country back on the list after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's half-brother was murdered in Malaysia in February. It's widely suspected Kim ordered the assassination, although Pyongyang denies any involvement.
Beijing and Pyongyang's relationship has been strained in recent months over the North's nuclear test and repeated missile tests.
The envoy's visit could ease tensions on the Korean peninsula, or it might highlight worsening relations between the two countries. For more on the visit, NHK World's Kozue Hamamoto reports from Beijing.
Information about the visit is limited. What we do know is that Special Envoy Song Tao will inform North Korea about what happened during last month's Communist Party Congress. Song is one of President Xi Jinping's closest allies. He's also in charge of the party's department that deals with North Korea and other communist countries. Now, while he may have Xi's ear, following the last National Congress 5 years ago, China sent a Politburo member to Pyongyang. So sending a lower-ranking official this time around may be perceived by Pyongyang as a slight. The timing of the visit is later than it's traditionally been, so Beijing may have been waiting until President Xi met with U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump said after his Asian tour that President Xi pledged to use China's economic clout to denuclearize the North. Trump also said the U.S. and China had agreed a so-called freeze-for-freeze military plan with North Korea would not work. However, China's foreign ministry contradicted Trump, maintaining that dual suspension is still the best option. So it's difficult to know exactly what Xi and Trump agreed on. As for the visit, all eyes are on whether Kim Jong-un will meet Song Tao. If some analysts say that if Kim meets with him, it may signal that he wants Beijing's help or details into what Trump told China during last week's meetings.
While the UN is toughening sanctions over the North's nuclear and missile programs, a growing number of nations are reducing ties with Pyongyang.
Singapore, one of North Korea's major trading partners, is suspending trade relations with the country. A customs notice shows it froze commercial ties last week. The ban also applies to goods for personal use if they're subject to the UN sanctions. Anyone who wants to import or export other items must apply for permission at least 3 days in advance. Any violator faces a fine, imprisonment, or both. The U.S. State Department says Sudan plans to cut all trade and military ties with North Korea. According to the U.S., the Sudanese Foreign Ministry formally announced the decision after meetings with a visiting U.S. diplomat in Khartoum. Washington will monitor Sudan's implementation of its commitment. The U.S. has been criticizing the African nation for importing weapons from Pyongyang. A UN Security Council panel in March said a company in Sudan had purchased North Korean missiles. The announcement also stresses that isolating the North is a top priority of the U.S.
A U.S. research group says North Korea may be building a new type of ballistic missile submarine.
The group at Johns Hopkins University released its analysis of satellite images of a naval shipyard in eastern North Korea. It says the images from November 5th show two circular objects that may be parts of a submarine hull. It adds they are bigger than models the North has deployed so far. The group says parts have been moved in and out of the shipyard throughout this year. The researchers also found what could be a launch canister or support device at this site, used for testing submarine-launched ballistic missiles. They say this indicates the North may conduct more missile ejection tests. The country's latest ballistic missile launch was on September 15th.